Hi YouTube, this is Joe Kelton with Kelton Cutlery. You can find us on the web, keltoncutlery.com. I had to get the camera out to snap pictures. I'm finishing up a batch of knives. The first batch in, oh heck, maybe a month and a half, something like that. But anyways, I decided I'd go ahead. I don't have a video or even really an explanation about these spec sheets that come with each one of the knives. Let's see if you can really see it. Oh yeah, we got the glare going on. Each one of my knives that I make ends up with a spec sheet. And most of it is pretty self-explanatory. You know, you've got the date that I finished it today. This one right here is a fillet knife. It's made out of 1095 steel. Handle is Honduran rosewood. The price for the knife, the price for shipping in the States, whether it had, or if this was a hunting knife, I would put, and it had a guard, I would put what kind of guard it had on it, the sheath, whether it's leather or kydex or whatever, overall length, blade width, your grind, that's the part that needs explaining here in a second. The blade finish, this one's got an A65 with a blue Scotch-Brite, it's a belt finish, and the weight in ounces. I started doing this, I want to say a year, maybe 2 years ago, and I've really liked doing it this way. First of all, every knife gets its picture taken, orders or ones that go on my website, and each one of them gets its picture taken with the spec sheet, in the same picture. For a while there, my wife was snapping pictures for me. She is an amazing photographer, but she's too busy to do that now, so you gotta live with my pictures, which frankly are really, really rough. Anyway, so I wanted to explain the spec sheets. So let's go ahead and, well, here, I'll let you see them all first, and then we'll pick on one of them right quick. It's for another knife maker's, for his wife. She wanted a nice chef's knife in a particular pattern, so I went ahead and made it for her, and it should be leaving the shop here, maybe tomorrow, and it is that one right there. So anyhow, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this knife, and then take a look at the spec sheet, and that way you guys get a good explanation of these spec sheets. Okay, so if it's an order, you can see right there, I've got Alley written on there. We got the date, we went over all that. This part right here is the part that I want to explain. Where it says grind, and some of it is my chicken scratching here. So FFG, that means a full flat grind. So, almost all of my knives are made with either a full flat grind or a convex edge. This could say full flat grind, and then you get 3 measurements, or it could say a light convex, which would be a very, very shallow, very shallow convex, a medium convex, or a heavy convex, roughly, So that just tells you kind of the geometry of the knife. But then this part right here goes really into specifics. And these 3 numbers right here, they're as precise as what I can get, with a micrometer. The first measurement will be the thickness of the blade. Got my tripod set too high. So the first measurement will be the thickness of the blade at the shoulder of the edge. The second measurement will be the thickness of the blade 1/4 inch back from the edge. And then the third and final measurement will be the thickness of the blade at the spine. Okay, so let me show you what those, where those measurements are taken. So on this particular knife right here, Ollie's husband, great guy, he makes some extremely heavy-duty knives, choppers. He chops up washing machines and mesquite trees and all that kind of stuff. So she's got plenty of choppers. She needed something that was a little bit a little bit thinner for, you know, just everyday cutting. So taking the micrometer, what I'll do here is I'll move the micrometer to, maybe I should put you on this side here. There we go, that's a little bit easier. Okay, so I'll take the micrometer, and I'm sure you guys all know how to use micrometers, but you've got your graduations here, or this way on the barrel, or on the shaft, and then this way on the barrel. So you can measure, and you can measure really precisely with these things. So we're going to zero it out, and then I'll pull it out to about 10 thousandths or so just to start with. Then what I'll do is I'll take there we go, maybe where your sharpening marks end from the stone, where the sharpening marks end and the blade finish starts, that junction is what I call the shoulder of the edge. So I want to take a measurement there. Now this one right there. Now I'm getting 6.5 thousandths of an inch thick there. And when I measured it to write down the spec sheet, I wrote 6 thousandths. So fairly close. That tells you an awful lot about how easily the edge is going to start the cut in whatever it is that you're going to cut up in the kitchen. This next measurement, I used to, it seems like it's fairly popular in the custom knife or kitchen knife making world to take the spine of the blade, and then seems like some guys do the shoulder of the edge, which is where I just measured. Some guys like to do what they ground the edge to, or what they ground the blade to before they sharpened it, which I think that's a fairly good way of doing it. I just like doing the finished edge. So we got the shoulder the edge that tells you how easy you're going to start the cut and get into your work. The next measurement is the one that I started using a while back, and it is 1/4 of an inch back behind the edge. Okay, now the anvil on this micrometer is 1/4 of an inch diameter. So what I do is I just put the edge of the anvil right on the very cutting edge of the knife, or kind of line it up to where it's even. And then so this edge of the anvil is what's going to stop the micrometer from measuring. And then so that gives me a thickness 1/4 of an inch back from the edge of the knife. And this one I'm getting 19.5 thousandths, which I wrote 19 thousandths on the card. So fairly close. Each time you measure it, you know, with micrometers, depends on how tight you turn the barrel. You can get 1/2 thousandths to even 1 thousandths, or sometimes 2 thousandths, you know, because this is an awful lot of it's by eye and everything. But that 1/4 inch measurement is a measurement that I'd never seen taken before. And frankly, I'm not even sure why I started taking it, but once I started taking that measurement, it really started explaining some things about kitchen knives. Why one that was super thin at the shoulder of the edge and fairly thin at the spine of the blade might cut better or worse than another blade that had very similar measurements. And what I like to say is that whereas the shoulder of the edge measurement tells you how easy the edge is going to get you into your work, the 1/4 inch from the edge measurement tells you an awful lot about how easy the knife is going to go through the work. So the shoulder of the edge gets you into the work. The 1/4 inch back measurement tells you how much resistance you're going to have pushing that blade through the work. Okay, and then of course your spine you know, everybody takes a measurement of the spine. You just get it on that. And this one's showing 81 thousandths, which, look at there, that's what I wrote down on that one. But anyway, and I suppose I could give you an awful lot more information, but this is a fairly simple spec sheet that's, you know, pretty easy to understand and everything. And then, like I said, each one of these spec sheets for either the orders or the ones that go on the website, you get this information before you buy it. Because generally speaking, when somebody makes an order from me, when I get the knife done, I'll send them a picture of the knife plus the spec sheet. And then if they like it, they can send me money, and then I'll ship the knife out. And if they don't, then it goes back up on the website, and I'll make another one. But this gives you as much information as I can, so that you can make a more informed purchase. Like on a normal chef's knife, what I usually shoot for there is somewhere around 10,000 7-inch at the shoulder of the edge. If it's going to somebody who I know is going to take care of the blade, I'll go less than that. Generally not less than about 5 thousandths, because chef's knives get a little bit squirrely, at least with the steels and the heat treats that I use, when you go below 5,000 7-inch thick with a blade that size. Usually I aim for under 25 thousandths thick, 1/4 of an inch back from the edge. And then usually in chef's knives, I usually I usually start off with 3/32 inch stock. So, you know, 93 thousandths or less, depends on the surface finish and how much steel gets ground away on the blade bevels. A paring knife. Most paring knives I shoot for 5 thousandths thick at the shoulder of the edge, somewhere around 20 thousandths thick, 1/4 inch back, and I make those out of 1/16 inch stock, so 62 thousandths, and then it goes down from there depending upon, you know, how high I take the grind up. Paring knives, generally speaking, I know Cliff Stamp did a review on a paring knife that I made for him a couple of years ago. That knife was a special order, and he said he wanted me to grind it as thin as what I was comfortable taking it. Knowing that the knife was going to go to somebody who was not going to let their spouse borrow it, and more than likely it wasn't going to be used as a can opener, the fellow that was going to be testing it had considerable amount of skill with a knife, understood the geometry of a knife, how far you could push it and whatnot. He said he wanted me to go as thin as I could, so I took it down to, I think, like 2 thousandths, which is a little bit less than half of what I normally do. I say I shoot for 5 thousandths. Generally speaking, 5 thousandths or less, so 3 to 5 thousandths at the shoulder for a paring knife is usually about right. I have taken them down, I think 2 thousandths, that might be the thinnest, maybe 1 thousandths, who knows. But anyway, so yeah, I guess that's just an explanation of the spec sheet. It's also a sneak peek for Allie to take a look at her knife. She gets to see it. She's in Texas, so it'll probably take 3 days to get down there. And yeah, so now you know what those 3 numbers mean, and how to use them in deciding which knife you would like. So, like, let's say these pretty ones with curly maple handles on them. Now, one of those is an order, so it won't even make it up onto the website. But let's say there was 2 of them, and I made them in the same handle material, same finish, same everything, and you're looking at pictures of the 2 of them. Let's say one of them I ground to 8 thousandths at the shoulder of the edge, and the other one I went to 12 thousandths of an inch at the shoulder of the edge. Both of those are within the range that I normally like to grind chef's knives. If you're a person that's got a light touch, go with the 8 thousandths thick one. If you're a person who might have a spouse or you know, old enough children that use kitchen knives in the house that might not take very good care of it, go with the 12 thousandths of an inch, you know, the slightly thicker one, to give you a little bit more meat to withstand, you know, a slight amount of abuse in the kitchen. But anyways, those are my spec sheets, the measurements. and kind of an explanation on them. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.